Things underwater suffocate when they don't have gills. And coral reefs don't have gills, but I would argue that the spongy nature of themselves are a gill as a collective. So what on earth would make it for an anemone to gain that and corals to lose theirs? Now, ever since the Boston Marathon, where a tyrant wore a backpack that exploded with a pressure cooker in it, I come to figure anytime there's a compacted thing randomly laying down is quite possibly something equivalent to what the Boston bomber had going on. So, how am I supposed to know that my life is in danger if it were such a thing, me being that close to it? The spectrum and complexity of heat sinking is always an option in knowing. Well, they don't call it a $1 trillion industry for nothing. And talk about losing traction or getting a grip. In Physics 101, they teach all these dynamics that just go out the window shortly thereafterwards. The $1 trillion industry. Oh my gosh, this would of course be in Computer Science 101, where you print the text of shapes as the program. Things such as Pokemon or Digimon have shortly scraped the surface of it, where similarly, if you're to match up an explosion device, it's a heat signature with a zygote or a fetus. The likelihood of it growing and being at a specific height to decal, but it's nonetheless an attribute of heat signature. And I'm not trying to be cute with this, but it isn't. Of something that's disorienting, like not knowing what to do after you get knocked up, or knowing what to be comfortable in public if it looks like it's a pressure cooker. Get the full spectrum of a complete situation from a male's perspective when it comes to what a reproductive activist group would seek. I'd never heard of a reproductive activist group. It could have been on either side, male or female, but more importantly, it was first used for the female group, wanting to hold the flame to the males after they leave during a night of intimacy in bed with a partner. And so then you're left with their seed inside of you and you don't know what to do. So then you go and you say, I've got constitutional rights that need protecting, and he's not here, so I'm going to use them. But I didn't understand the argument for the reproductive activist having a constitutional right to have abortion. It doesn't make that much sense, because to me it's never been a thing. 2-year-old virgin. But even if it were, I wouldn't think that the first thing I need to do is protect my constitutional rights, which aren't even stated clearly why they're connected to this circumstance. But lo and behold, I'm getting taken advantage of because he's gone, and so I need something. It's just not there. And so in terms of significant figures, things that are all around, these can be used, and they're so boring, but they're really important because they're pressed upon inside school in more than one department, chemistry and math. And then the one other most boring thing that just came out of the blue, but they said, oh, I thought to mention, I don't remember the name of it, but you're taking decimals and you plug it into a formula and you get solutions, and those solutions are either above or below the target that you're trying to breach. And all these later were taught us to be Riemann sums, and how much of a debacle they bring up because their infinities cross over everything. So I think these two significant figures and decimal plug into formula to find the target, of the median, the mean, the mode, all of the above, and more coming up right now. And then the argument, two-sided, of course, by the other gang, LGBT, saying, don't be bad on the women. They've got it hard enough. They got enough to deal with. I understand the reproductive cycle, menopause, you name it. And then just to think that there's like guys wanting to become that even though they aren't. And so it's just this double entendre of an extraneous situation, them trying to get stuff they don't have, the others trying to be something they're not. If you look at all the people like the Boston Marathon bomber, all these people taking out aggression is obviously all males. But in retrospect, how many of those are statistics of what equivocally a female would be doing in an abortion is eradicating a life. So we don't want that to get taken out of context, especially if it's in the dismay of a numbers game. As if there's classes to this number game where going under the radar and getting revenge for, if it wasn't good enough. The next day, making this experiment with your body to seeing how it feels to get it out versus getting the anger out on society if you're a male trying to get back at it. Or as if this is superior to the two, having a government that has people point nukes at anyone who they don't like, as if it's more of a white collar crime. What's a slang for the branches and cabinets? Collar. It's not even one. It's like a swamp vest. Well, they don't call it a $1 trillion industry for nothing, especially if it hasn't even been brought to the forefront yet. The dynamic to pull off what I just said would have to be of the accuracy of what Einstein was said in making the nuclear bomb. Oh my gosh, what have I done? And now that's being used to perpetrate all of the lives of countries who don't have them, simply by pointing it at them.